Hello and welcome back to the CAYACast. Today we are joined by some familiar faces, Mr. Lorkenberg on the end, Gina over there, and some new people. We've got Kawthar from Kawrhu and Janneke from Shop Zero. I'm Brad and this is the CAYACast. On today's episode, we discussed a wide variety of things from sustainability in business to mental health to how business owners have dealt with the COVID crisis, manufacturing, different spaces, community working together, trickle-down economics. We got really full. It's a really punchy episode. It's quite quick and jam-packed with useful things, including some very helpful
Cook
mental
up a
health
meal,
tips.
or grab a
because
snack, settle down. And
exactly. It's Mental Health Month. Look after yourselves and enjoy the episode.
Woo!
I think... Let's start super simple. We are obviously at the More Love Market, hosted by Studio Candor in their wonderful space. And I think to start things off, what I'd love to know is just the story of how each of you came to know Studio Candor. I think I'll save yours for the second one. So, Kawthar, if you can just tell us about how you got involved with Studio Candor and with the More Love Market.
Honestly, I was just a small business just passing by doing my thing. And then someone said to me, listen, they've got an opening and they want a small business to pull through. I really didn't think they were going to choose me. And I'm just so glad. Ashby is great. She's made me so much more competitive in my area and so much more confident. I found her on internet and then she just responded and she was, go ahead, come through, do your best work.
Amazing.
And I had to just do my best from there.
Amazing. And you on your side, I mean, obviously there's quite a considerable level of involvement now between you guys and Studio Candor. So I mean, maybe for the people give a bit of context into you and Shop Zero and how you came to be in this space. We'll probably get into a bit more detail into Shop Zero itself, but just so people understand.
Yeah, so we actually moved in here at the beginning of the month as we're just subletting a part of their shop space here, which is just so fantastic how that also happened. And it's interesting, I actually looked at the shop space originally to rent it when I was looking for a new shop space, and they were fast enough to get it. So it's quite cool how it all worked out. Anyway, so we moved out of our shop space in Woodstock, where we used to be close to the old biscuit mill. Lockdown happened, things were so uncertain, and I decided not to re-sign our lease. So we went online only for 7 months, and then after that moved into a shop space 300 meters down the road here in Obs. And that lease was coming to an end again, and I was trying to look at new spaces. So we've got a little WhatsApp group here, downtown Obs. It's all the business owners on this side of Obs. And I've seen Ashby's name on the group. Obviously, I haven't met her in person. Gave her a call and said, listen, how would you feel about us maybe moving in with you guys? And we had a conversation, and she said if it was anyone else, she would have said no, but she knows what we do and she loves what we do. And luckily she was open to it. So I just think it's also so amazing. You know, we never met each other in person. I just took the chance, called her, and she said, yes, let's do it. So that's how it happened.
Okay, I mean, it's such a, I mean, these events, the markets in and of themselves, but I think also just what this space is coming to represent is that it's a lot more than, it's not Studio Candor. Yeah. Even though, the shop on the front says Studio Candor, they've got all these other small businesses that they're selling, on a variety, on a variety of scales.
Entity.
Just as you kind of pointed out, largely on a kind of shared mission or value or kind of shared ethical code, which I think is really, really special.
But it's so great also how one big positive thing that happened during lockdown is how businesses stood together and communities and neighbors and so on, and how so much emphasis has been put on support local, support small businesses. So it's really great what they are doing here, providing a platform for so many people, having different vendors in their shop space on a permanent basis, and then also this market and previous events that they've had, and I know there are more bigger ones coming up, which is also so exciting because this space is not actually too small for all the vendors that they have, which is amazing.
Yeah. It's one of those really good problems to deal with.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a problem, amazing, let's deal with it.
And I think in line with that, so I was chatting to Kawthar earlier, so and you can get into a bit about like what your brand is, what your business is, but also after that how you as a small business are supporting other small businesses. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So I'll go ahead. Like, I'm an architect by profession. There you go. I'm an architect by profession, but I think of myself as being very creative. I think during the lockdown, we found out that we were much more than what our job entitled us to be. And we found out we were actually quite unhappy doing our jobs. So I was still studying and I thought to myself, listen, I gotta make money, but I really wanted to have a community around me. And making made me meet people who were makers or just wearers of my things. I started with earrings, with polymer clay. We were actually recycling a little bit of things in here and there, and it wasn't working, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Having a small business will let you learn what it is that you do very well and what you suck at. It's tough. And you got to find a good way to actually show yourself out there, but also listen to the people who are giving me you good feedback. And that was it. So Studio Candor came when we were at a really good space where I was finally in a space where I could do more, be a good producer about earrings, but also I was in a space where I could now, have a bit of confidence about my prices and my abilities and things. So as an architect, I actually specialize in socio-ecological architecture and practices. I'm also doing my PhD at the moment, which I'm researching especially on women in architecture and socio-ecological practices. Wow. And that kind of circles back.
Big ups.
Yeah. Thank you. That circles back to Mauritius, which I'm from. And I've never once shown up in a space where I don't not just announce myself in that way, but even in my area of business, you will find there's inspiration from all those places. Yeah. So, for example, right now, community for me is really big. And this is what I love about Studio Candor. It's not about competition, it's about collaboration. And really, they live that all the way through. So part of being here at a market, I would actually source, especially from Black female artists, the work that they do on the side. And when they're trying to peak, I will go to them and say, listen, I'm going to buy your stock. I'm going to resell it for you. I'm going to give you your profit because I know I struggled to be here and I know I needed people to be here. So
I think, that for me has been, we chatted to Noah and Ashby on a previous episode now, and just I think the realization amongst business owners now, especially younger business owners, where we're not as, I don't know if it has to do with ego. I'm not, there's less ego, and it's just like, and it's good that we're talking about it. And I mentioned it when we were chatting to Noah and Ashby, and they were saying, look, like often we still have break-even months, being a small business a couple of years in is really hard for several years. The general thing is like the first 5 years of starting a business are going to be hard as hell, kind of as a rule. And, the fact that I think there's now business owners coming through who are younger, who are more kind of ethically driven. I think ethic is a bigger part, as a generation and as younger generations, the ethic matters a lot more. And so the fact that we've now got young companies that are coming up where that is the ethos is, acknowledging it's the self-awareness. It's like, I didn't do this on my own. Everyone, to get to any level of business success, you had help and you had a hand up from other people. And to have then, the business owners that are coming up now are of that generation who are conscious of that and also, aware of the importance to make sure that other groups who don't get that opportunity as much get that opportunity, I think for me is just really exciting for, the future of what our kind of business landscape looks like in Cape Town. There's so much passion and interest in, in supporting one another. Yeah, looks.
If I can build on that with a bit of a question, when it comes to like creative projects and sort of like starting a brand or starting a movement or starting a cultural thing, community, starting it can either be the best part or the worst part. Lots of people have different processes about how they go about it. But if you could give one piece of advice to people who are hitting a roadblock when it comes to the actual starting of a small local brand with a sort of ethical frame of mind and sort of motivation, as opposed to like
purely profit driven,
not ethical.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to people who are struggling to start, what would that be?
Would you like to?
The floor is yours.
I feel like I'm still starting. She's there already.
I think it's just reaching out and trying and just asking. And also just like with my business, so I'm a primary school teacher. I left teaching in 2017. But I do still teach English online to Russian adults, actually, business and conversational English. So luckily also I kept that job as a sideline day job while building up my business. Because yes, it takes 5 years to know if a business is going to make it or not. So we're still in that 5 years, and we had like a 2-year COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still also working another job. But I don't really know anything about business.
Lots of people in business start out that way.
Yeah.
You just feel it up.
Yeah, so I just got inspired. I found out about the zero waste movement. There was some Pia Johnson, the zero waste queen. She coined the term. She was here in South Africa on tour. I found out about her. I didn't know about her then. I started my own little plastic-free journey by just, cutting out the straw and plastic bag. Anyway, then found out about so much more that you could do. And I was just like, there's no one in South Africa doing this. I have to do this. I've always wanted to do something. I've always had ideas, and then I just couldn't do it or whatever. So I started researching zero waste stores overseas. I saw that some of them successfully crowdfunded. So I started a crowdfunding campaign back in 2017, and that's how it all started. I just jumped online, got a name, got a logo, Canva free logo, which in the end we adjusted a little bit. But there's, the internet is just so amazing, and you can just learn so much. And since I've learned how to do graphic design, accounting, photography, all these things, it's so great. But I have also reached out to some other business owners, some of my suppliers, actually, business owners that I look up to, that I felt, I just always thought, wow, they're such great business people, so business savvy. And I would often still sometimes even reach out to them for advice. And not everyone's going to be open to helping, but if you don't come right there, then try someone else. I think that would be my advice.
I want to quickly open the floor to we have some listeners. We have some listeners.
So,
hi, friends.
Any of you'll have to open the door because we can't hear you.
You've just
There's
joined,
a
but
microphone out there.
basically we're sitting down with Shop Zero and Kawthar, whose jewelry business is to the right of you. If you have any questions, left of you, the floor
About
is yours.
sustainability,
You just need to open the
small
door so we
business.
can hear.
No questions. That's okay. You can open the door
Give
if you
it a
want
think.
to.
Open the door if you think of something.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
I think we've got a question.
Come through.
Hello.
I'm going to repeat that just because it wasn't on mic. So the question from the audience was, what motivated you to start your business? I feel like you've fairly well answered that, although I definitely want to go into some more detail into Shop Zero. But yeah, I mean, Kawthar, in a bit more like what motivated you? What was the catalytic event?
Yeah, I guess
might be a
outside of just a creative interest, like why jewelry specifically, I guess you could direct your creativity into any way.
And a creative interest in starting a business with that creative interest are two very different things.
So true. I think for you, it was definitely for a service that you were looking into and you felt like it wasn't there. I feel like it wasn't that case for me. I never felt a gap that I needed to fill, but I always felt a guilt when I was just wearing something that felt too selfish. When you talk about sustainability, it needs to be out there. And I felt the conversation was a lot around guilt. So I was like, no, let's do something that feels radically personal, that doesn't have to benefit anybody but me. I want to wear this and I want to make it for people who wants to wear it as well. And let's also have this platform to have those conversations where we are able to hear and explain to ourselves, like, these are things we want to do, not because we're guilty of the things we were, you know, but rather because we have the choice to do better choices. Just if that means wearing earrings that are polymer clay, eco-friendly, then that is it. Then you don't have to answer to anyone. And for women, it's very radical.
Yeah. I mean, I think I love that answer. I think for me, the common thread through all of these podcasts has been Ashby and the two of you as well. The way we started this company is just like, it didn't come from like a career of expertise or I've
Trust fund.
been doing this and now I want to get out of the corporate and do my own thing. It was more just like, I'm really passionate about this. I feel like there's a problem to be solved. Not necessarily that there was a huge gap in the market. It doesn't have to be. There can be a minor problem that needs to be solved.
It can be a personal problem.
Or a personal problem. But it was a passion and there was a space for a solution. And I think the common thread has been, we're all figuring it out.
Yeah.
And, I think I'm the exception in that I do have a business degree, but it's in information systems, which has nothing to do with, very little to do with what we're doing. And it's like, no, it's find something that you're passionate about and that you're willing to put in the 5 years and see whether it works out or not, and for that to not be a huge problem, is it, looking at the 5 years and going, if it doesn't work out, oh, well, did I enjoy it along the way? Because I think that's special with it. There's now more and more brands that are driven by passion and a need and a want to do better and add value to people's lives beyond just like this is a straight up provision of a product or service. I think we've moved more into a space where it's as much about how we provide that product or service as to what it is. And
how
I think that's really a really positive sign for the kind of sustainable growth of what we're doing. And just before you pop in, Gina, I just want to say, so we did a podcast called Successfully Sustainable last year, which was all about, and for me, it's a link between you two, was all about there's no right way to be sustainable. There's no like, this is, because it's all so situation dependent. It's all, it's an incredibly, your privilege, your financial situation, your cultural background, where you live, all of that impacts your ability to be sustainable in what way. And for me, what's way more important than like, oh, here's the right way to do it is here's a whole bunch of ways to do it and make it, as you said, we have the choice to make better choices. Give people as many of those better choices as possible and let them find what fits, their situation, because it's too easy for us to be, judgmental about the way people, live their lives. And especially from a position of privilege, it's easy to be like, oh, well, why aren't you doing X or Y or being vegan or, not using any plastic? It's like context is everything. But the more people feel like yourselves and the more people that feel, hey, there's a particular way that I'd like to do it, which I don't see being answered in Cape Town or in South Africa, which I think, you wanted to go down the zero waste and there wasn't a solution. So, hey, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to try. I'm going to like throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. And I think the more people have those options, the easier it is for people to be able to be sustainable. But also for me, there's more options for people to feel like it makes it so much more mainstream and more common and more, because it's not about, oh, you're sustainable because there's a right way to do it. It's more just like societally we have more options and we can do more, we can make more educated choices in that perspective. Gina?
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of like sustainability and like the social context that we're in, obviously there are different ways to be sustainable, but that's often a privilege to make those choices. And I was just wondering, in terms of like Shop Zero's brand, if there's like kind of anything community driven that you're doing to, I guess, teach people about sustainability, like at this point or in the future, maybe, for people that don't really know anything, and then people that do have that are privileged enough to like, buy reusable products, because often it is like a one-time cost that is more expensive, but like in terms of explaining, that benefit to people.
Yeah, so firstly, definitely it is, these reusable products, it is an investment and they do pay off for themselves quite quickly. So yeah, I also like to see us as more than a shop, and also just being an educator. I feel like I am still kind of educating in a way through my business platform. We really like to raise awareness on our platforms as well about different issues, not just plastic pollution, and so on. But I've gone back into schools to have talks at schools. So I've visited a few schools. I haven't really done that in quite a while, I think probably just because of COVID. But recently a school reached out to me again and they wanted me to go there, but we actually came up with the idea of bringing the kids here. So I haven't discussed this with Ashby yet, but I think that's going to be quite cool.
A school outing,
Yeah, because then they'll not only see our products, but they'll also see the ladies making the clothes in here.
And they can see the full picture, the full process.
And I think whether you can implement it now or later in your life, just having that knowledge, in your mind.
Yeah, and it
Doing
actually,
what you can.
and it's really so important to work with the children, because they are our future, and they can then go
After it
and
starts, you plant the seed and the tree grows.
Exactly, and influence their parents again. But yeah, we also sell a lot of products that are from social. It's like social upliftment initiatives that we have. We sell a body soap, a liquid body soap that's made by a project, previously abused women who have been upskilled to learn how to make this soap, so that helps them spur a livelihood, them and their kids. Then I always I lived in Observatory, but I moved out to Komiki last year, loving it. But
Do you live in Komiki?
Yeah.
My family lives in
Oh,
Komiki.
okay. Yeah. I love it. But anyway, so I used to live here in Obs. I always drove past a big issue vendor, and he made these portable slow cooking bags that he was also selling next to the road. And
Hot boxes.
Sorry,
Is that a hot box?
no. So it's like it's a portable slow cooking bag. So you bring your food to a
so
boil.
you take it with you.
Well, you use it at home. So what you do, it saves electricity because you bring your food.
Is that not what a hot box? It's too it's like a big glove almost for the pot.
Yeah. Probably, yes.
And then you leave it there for 8 hours.
Yes.
Sorry, it's maybe a different name, but hot box.
Yeah.
My mum works with a lot of women in Red Hill, Ocean View, and Masipumalele, and she's got a whole bunch of projects that she's involved with. But one of them is the ladies make hot boxes and sell them, and then that kind of
cool. Well, I need to chat to you
themselves.
after this also, because I just love getting involved with those things.
Well,
but anyway, so I just started chatting to him, took photos of his bags, put it on our site. So we're offering a platform for him there. Then our original shop space that we had in Woodstock, we started off as a pop-up shop because we struggled to find a shop space at first. Anyway, Peter and his group of African craftsmen, and lockdown also obviously very much affected them because they mostly sold curios to foreigners. They started making shwe face masks when lockdown happened. We immediately got that from them. So I like selling also products with a story. And then we've got wristbands made of plastic litter that was upcycled into bracelets, and we've got it here, microplastic in earrings and also key rings. We sell tree rings as well from Green Pop, so it's a bamboo key ring with the coordinates of where the plant is, the tree is planted that you purchase, so that represents
cool.
that.
I love that. I love Green Pop. They're good friends.
I think it's so great that when you're supporting a small local business, you're often supporting so many indirectly because those business owners are just, there's something that they're conscious of and they just want to help the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that this conversation's progressed has just been this incredible example of exactly that kind of it's top down, it's trickle down economics, but actually working because it's not, a big corporate at the top controlling where things are. It's
could be working better.
It could always be better. But, Studio Candor with the market, and then they've got all the vendors, and then, Kawthar's also supporting other small businesses,
Us
and
doing
with,
this with
yeah,
them.
you guys in the space are also supporting a variety of
beautiful.
other small businesses.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Ashby was saying, she kind of said, because Gina was like,
Mesh.
I wish there were a whole bunch of other brands like Studio Candor, And I mean, I think we all, want more brands that care generally, but that, Ashby was like, yeah, and when that happens, we'll really back them because it's important that they get that support. And I think...
Speak.
Hello, Ashby, we were just talking about you. How did you do that? That was incredible.
Mike, the mic.
What's it done? No, it's picking it up. Don't worry.
Is it?
It'll pick up, Ashby. It's on the floor. Don't worry about it. Do you want to say something, Ashby?
I just wanted to ask a question.
Okay, grab the mic.
Yeah.
It's just
Open
behind
the
the
door.
chair.
Smokey,
There we go.
here's the problem. I don't know
She's
what I'm
got the
going
mic,
to
but
ask.
open the
Wait,
door a
open
little
the
bit
door, we
because we
can't
don't
hear
have
you.
headphones because that was smart planning.
Hello.
Hello, Ashby.
Hi.
I don't know how you did that. We literally just summoned you. That was incredible.
I don't know what to ask. Hold on, it's going to come over me.
Anything you want.
What stall today do you guys find most interesting? What is, what's a
That's a
new
good
brand you
question.
Yeah,
found?
that's cool. A store that's
question.
not your own,
That's a bit easy.
and not Studio Candor.
I actually haven't had a chance to go look at them all properly. I quickly went through here this morning to
Yeah.
take a quick video. I did like those little crystals, those hanging crystal
Like the
things.
fairyware.
Moon City,
Yeah.
yes.
Moon City.
And then I got myself this today from Studio Candor.
Sporting it
It's a
for
new shirt
the
bar.
podcast. Love it.
Thank you, Ashby.
Okay. Cool, guys. Enjoy.
Thank you.
That was wild. But
Also,
you were talking. I saw her like approaching. I was like, can she hear us?
Also, but off topic, but it's so crazy because I don't know if you know, Ashby also studied architecture.
Yeah.
To have had like two architects sitting on this couch
It's
today, I just think
amazing.
it's so
Yeah.
interesting.
We actually, I was speaking to her like a month ago. Then she told me she did architecture, and I was like, I did architecture. Did we know this about each other? And we didn't, but we hustle in architecture, and
So
we
cool.
Connected.
but she actually did environmental design as well.
Okay.
And Ashby actually helps me personally a lot in my research because she's so giving and generous about her knowledge.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes
beautiful.
Studio Candor so great. Business wise, like.
But I think, beyond it being just Studio Candor, because they are definitely doing that. But, the fact that we're sitting here having this conversation is, for me, it's an example of the fact that it's not just isolated silos, because there are so many people who will watch this and, have heard from the experience of the Studio Candor guys and both of you as well in starting these kinds of brands and, different ways to go about trying to solve a problem that you have a personal grapple with and doing so ethically. And in doing that, we're all, contributing to a better kind of business and cultural environment in Cape Town and where we live and hopefully South Africa and the world, and I think what for me, as you pointed out, the internet's incredible in terms of enabling businesses to scale and grow and people to connect and
just to learn.
and I
Yeah.
think having these kinds of conversations means that tons of people will be able to access that kind of information and insight into your brands, but also like how to do the same kind of thing if they want to, which is again, it's the whole thing of like, well, Ashby's helped you, but that's then helping other people to learn. And some of the small brands that you stock or the smaller vendors that you stock, hopefully in time will almost outgrow that and be able to go to their own space. But there's this interconnectedness and a community, that relationship hopefully continues to grow, and then you have lots of growing successful businesses who all have some kind of loyalty and community with one another, who then everyone's then shouting one another out and giving one another props and helping everyone to grow. And then I think that's just only of benefit to all of us, and even what I love about all of this kind of stuff is even talking about your own experience, you're going to learn things about your own experience, because having to explain it to other people often makes you think about it a little bit differently yourself, and then you learn things, which conversations and stories with people who understand something of what you're going through. I think it's just so powerful. Did one of you have a question? I saw someone with a microphone.
I do have a question.
Okay.
It's not necessarily, I was going to wait to slot it in, but if you're asking. So I've not started my own small brand per se. I see myself as my own kind of brand in a sense. I'm a director of photography. A lot of what I do is through my own output for other people. So I suppose there's that. But I've witnessed Brad on his journey I've been lucky enough for a lot of the journey, not maybe as much as other people. But if I've seen one thing, it's that it's a roller coaster. There's highs and there's very high highs, and then there's lows and there's very low lows. And those lows can push you in all different directions. They can make you feel all kinds of things. And sometimes it feels like it's the end of the road, or that this is the final straw, the straw that broke the camel's back per se. For you guys, you're still going, which means that it's going well. But what would you say is the closest that you've come to kind of ending it all? Is there like the business? Not yourself.
That's so deep.
Not yourself, the business. But is there a moment that you have kind of like pinpointed where you were like, oh, this is the end of the road for
to whatever
and what
degree
kept you going?
And then what was the turning factor that sort of drew you back in?
If you're comfortable.
If you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, no. For me, it's just been my dream that has been keeping me going, because I've had some pressure from my husband and other family members. You know, it's not to say actually that if a business is still around that it is going well.
Yeah.
I mean, we can be lucky that we are still around. I was very sad this week to find out about two businesses that, one's going on a bit of a break to decide what they're going to do. One's closing down. The one was a business that's been in existence for 7 years. I've had, it's really, really been difficult. Lockdown has really caused so much havoc. It is actually a miracle that we are still around, to be honest. We've been so close to bankruptcy. It's, but it's also about adapting, like with us, we had an 80 square meter shop space in Woodstock before we had an in-store cafe. When lockdown happened, we realized we don't need all of that. We actually in level 5, the first 3 weeks, we actually kept our store closed for the first 3 weeks, only had our online store running. But anyway, then when we opened up, we actually blocked off the store so that for everyone's safety, so that people didn't really go in and touch all the products. And we saw like, hey, we actually literally just using this small little space at the front. We just need storage space. So when my lease came to an end, we moved into a smaller space here in Arbs, and now we're in an even smaller space. Well, actually, first we moved everything to my house and ran the online store from there for 7 months.
Sure.
And then we were like, okay, we're going to move soon, and we needed warehouse space. And that's why I thought of this space as a warehouse. And I love how they actually converted this into such a beautiful shop space. Anyway, we found a space and thought, okay, if I'm going to start paying rent again, I might as well have a small little shop front for people who do want to come and walk in. But anyway, so for me, I've had people not really believing in my dream so much as what I am, and telling me, all this hard work isn't worth it. I just really, really still hope that I can make it work and that we can recover from this. We're in here now, and I'm hoping to open up a flagship store somewhere in the deep south later this year, hopefully. And I know then we can get back to where we were, but we're still not where we were. But it is interesting being a business owner in this era. Because I never knew business before a pandemic. And yes, business owners do have problems, like normal problems anyway. But
Humans too, funny enough.
Sorry?
Humans too.
Oh, yes. Yeah. But it's really been interesting how this pandemic just caused all these new hurdles and so on. Yeah.
Would you say it's similar for you, or?
Well, I think every week when I have an obstacle is the week that I'm quitting. So I'm really shocked that I'm still here. But to be honest, like, I feel like you're so well established. I feel like I'm only in the beginning, and it's been a beginning for over a year now, and it's only me managing my whole business. And honestly, I feel like sometimes it gets to me as a person, and I don't know where I find the strength to just keeps going. And maybe it's a people pleaser mentality that I need to just confirm the next order and just pull it through and have it together. I might actually be facing one of my biggest obstacles right now, where I'm not from South Africa. I have to leave the country in a week, and I don't know what's about to happen for my business. But I also found out wherever I go, my business goes. It's not the end of it. If I need to open shop again in Mauritius, that just means for now, it's a little period in the story, but the story continues.
Chapter.
Yeah, like we're just turning the page, and I just got to push.
And that also brings more opportunities again.
Exactly.
You won't know what
Exactly.
happens once you maybe open up that side as well, and
Exactly.
connections that you make there. Yeah.
But if you see every opportunity as a great opportunity, then every opportunity is a
I
great
think,
opportunity.
COVID has on one hand, been a huge limiting factor in a lot of ways, but it's also taught us of a whole bunch of new ways to do business that we didn't really know existed, and across the business landscape, from the biggest multinational corporations to small businesses have all been affected, obviously, doubtlessly, by COVID, but the development that's gone into online shopping has been immense. The accessibility of that for smaller businesses has increased dramatically. Couriering is more accessible now for everyone. So it is that kind of thing. I forget what every cloud, whatever. But out of every crisis, often comes opportunity. Someone said the other day, who was it? It was Chester saying just after every crisis, there's a renaissance. There's a redevelopment of thinking and the way we do things. And I think that's what this all symbolizes is, we're thinking about how we do what we do so much more. And what impact that has and why we do. And I think that's really important. And, sharing that with people. And also, this is a great example of how just another little tidbit of a lesson for everybody is just that, things can look good on social media as with individuals and individuals and businesses alike, things can look like over the last couple of months where we've had, there've been times where it's been some of our hardest months or our worst performing months. And people are coming up to me and going, "Oh my God, it looks so great on Instagram."
So well, it looks like you're doing so great, and you're like, surface level.
We're like doing our best.
But I'm also not about to put all of like my major struggles on social media. I try to be as sort of transparent and honest on social media as I possibly can, because it is easy to make it seem as though you live this incredible life where it's all this beautiful stuff. Like just the background setting of Cape Town alone is like enough to make anyone think that you're living your best life. But like, it is also important to highlight the bad times and to be like, I'm not saying like dump your whole life story on your Instagram story. That's not what it's for. That's what therapy's for.
Reminded everybody, go to therapy.
Go to therapy. Instagram stories are not therapy. But it is important to, I suppose, keep people informed in your own way. And that's the other thing is that I don't mean put everything on your Instagram story or post everything or put it on TikTok. I mean, just keep people.
Yeah, I think it's hard as a business owner or as a brand manager. You never want to create a brand impression that things are not going well, because that's not good. But in the same
It's not attractive.
It's also important that and maybe it's a way where these kinds of conversations are it's a bit less directly brand oriented, and it's a bit more of a deep dive into yes, these are all these great things going on, but it's important as business owners that we understand from one another that we're all in the same boat. Because often when things are not going well, you're just sitting there going, "Oh my God, everyone else is doing so well, and like I
can't pull anything together.
Like,
I can't do this.
Everyone's so much better than me." And it's like, no, behind the like pretty Instagrams, for a lot of people, it's quite a struggle. We're gonna need to wrap up fairly soon.
I was
like
just gonna
5
say,
minutes.
like, I personally appreciate like that kind of honesty from brands. And I think that sometimes just, you know, like Lorcan said, it doesn't need to be like a deep dive into all your problems, but like mentioning it, you'll often find another small business might reach out and want to help. Like generally, I don't want to say generally, but I like to think that people are generally good-hearted and
If I can just quickly say, but again, like if it wasn't for COVID, because never before could brands really say such extreme things. Like last year, I made this desperate plea once, and I had our whole store on sale for 3 days because we didn't know how we were going to get through the month. And I was actually inspired to be so vulnerable and say that and make that post because I saw one other well-established business who I look up to a lot. They, you know, just certain things that they said in their newsletter, and then another business who also said like how bad it was actually going. And I realized like, okay, if these businesses can do it, and I thought they are doing so well, then I'm going to do it too. And also just I reached out to other business owners because we buy our food products in 25 kilogram bags. But cash flow has been such an issue, and we couldn't continue buying thousands of rands worth of food. So I actually approached other businesses and we started buying food together and sharing together. And I literally spoke to another business owner in this week. They've been around for over 30 years and she's willing to work with me and help us, you know, so that we can maybe just take 10 kilograms of their 25 kilogram bag. So it's just amazing.
Can I add on to that? Like there's a piece of gold that my therapist gave me, and she said, when you find your right crowd and your right voice of authenticity, that's when you're vulnerable. If you haven't, then you feel exposed. And really it feels like you did find your right crowd. You were able to be vulnerable and speak up your truth.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
I mean, I think that was a spectacular ending note and an incredible
for seeing as it's May and it's mental health month,
awareness.
I say we end off by each giving a piece of gold that a therapist or therapist friend has given us in life. I don't know.
A quick one.
Quick one, yeah, like a little.
Yeah, if you have something in mind, go ahead.
Oh, you introduced the topic, so surely someone else. Brad, we'll start with you.
For me, I think the it's not really a thing that a therapist, you know, but for me, just the most helpful thing has been
Mental
that
health
perspective
advice.
is everything. And different people face exactly the same situation, relatively speaking, but mindset and how you approach whatever's thrown your way is everything. And for me, it's about controllables and uncontrollables. Just focus on the things you can control and deal with those, because spending time worrying about uncontrollable factors is just a waste of your emotional and physical energy.
Yeah, I'm going to give mine in a form like of a tip that I've learned that works for me. So I have, I don't know, like whatever the degree of my anxiety, but I suffer from anxiety, and I often find it stops me from working, and then I don't work and I get stressed about the fact that I'm not working because I'm anxious. So I sit with a notebook on the side, and anything that pops into my head, all those like thoughts that, you know, are swimming around, I pop it down and I get back to what I'm doing and I'll address it later. If that works for anybody else.
That's really good. That's really good. I'd say for me, it's easier said than done. It's something I've struggled with my whole life, but it's just making sure that you believe in yourself and believe in what you do. As long as you've got those two things, then it's so much easier to sort of overcome any obstacle. And like if someone is unfairly critical of what you're doing, you know, at least you are assured in yourself of what you're doing, so you don't need their certification or their sort of like approval of what you're doing. It's more I know what I'm doing, I love what I'm doing, so I'm going to keep doing it. And if you don't like what I'm doing, that's a good sign, because I'm not doing it for you. I think that's
Amen.
That would be mine.
Cool. Love it. So what I also learned from my therapist was about work-life balance and being more mindful. And I think this is also something that a lot of business owners can struggle with, is work-life balance and boundaries. It did go better for me last year during therapy. It went a little bit more downhill, but I am busy reading Get Your Shit Together, and I'm hoping that that will help soon.
That the shit will come together.
But yeah, it's quite a cool book. Check it out.
I think you started off with our
I
nuggets.
shared my nugget.
Yeah, that was a pretty
my
good
nugget
nugget.
was gold.
The domino.
I think that was I really enjoyed that
good
ending.
note to end
Thank
off
you.
on.
So
Cool.
do you want to end it off? Do you want me to end it off?
You can. Yeah,
It's my birthday today.
Oh,
yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's a birthday episode, so you have to like it and go follow both of these platforms. Otherwise,
Exactly.
you're just really rude. So do that, otherwise you're mean. Look to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Lovely. Okay, one ending. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe and do all the things you know how to. And go check out these two wonderful human beings and their brands. Thank you so much.
All
Bye-bye.
information will be in the description
Okay.
below.
Do an intro quickly. Yeah.